Imagine this. A woman had been sick for 12 years. 12 years. A long, painful journey where every doctor had given up, every medicine had failed, and every night she hid her sorrow deep within her heart. Society had also pushed her aside because her pain and her condition did not fit their norms. Everyone kept saying, "There is no cure for you anymore." But this woman did not let go of one thing: her faith. She thought, "If I can just touch his clothes, I will be healed." It sounds simple, but behind this simplicity was deep courage and hope. Just imagine, 12 years of pain, people's rejection, and loneliness, and yet one small act, trusting in just a touch, changed her entire life. The moment she touched Jesus' garment, her bleeding stopped instantly, and her body was filled with health and peace. Jesus immediately felt that someone has touched me, and he said to her, "Daughter, your faith has made you well. Go in peace and be healed of your disease." This moment is the most powerful for all of us, that God notices our small, secret acts of faith and responds personally. Faith is not just about thinking, it is about acting. And to act, we need both courage and humility. This woman teaches all of us that a small step, a small prayer, or just a simple act, even if it is private, can open the door to miracles. In our lives too, there are moments like this. When we act in faith between doubt and fear, miracles begin. This woman shows us that the measure of faith is not mapped by logic, but by the heart. And when we leave our doubts and fears behind and take that small step, that is when God's touch enters our lives. And the most beautiful part is that Jesus did not respond to her publicly, but personally, acknowledging her act and giving her peace and healing. In this story, there is a lesson for all of us. Our struggles, our loneliness, our long journeys all matter. But through one small act of faith, God can bring wonders into our lives. We just need to take the step with courage and hold on to faith with humility. And when we do that, miracles do not remain just stories. They become a part of our lives. When Jesus said, "Daughter, your faith has made you well," it was not just a moment of healing, but a revelation that God notices our inner faith and courage. Just think, 12 years of pain, people's hatred, doctors' despair, and yet one small act of faith, a simple touch, changed her life. This teaches us that miracles are not always dramatic, nor do they always come according to our expectations. Sometimes a miracle comes in the form of inner peace, new courage, or one faithful step. In our lives too, there are moments like this. We offer the smallest help, whisper a small prayer, or take one honest step, and we begin to notice how everything slowly starts transforming. Just as Jesus healed that woman instantly, God responds to every sincere step, even if we do not understand it immediately, even if the process is long. This woman is our inspiration, that faith must be joined with action, and action must be carried out with patience. And the greatest lesson for us is that faith must remain strong despite fear and shame. Because of her disease and society's rules, this woman faced shame and isolation, yet she kept her focus on Jesus, on her need, and on her faith. Many times, we too hesitate in life's challenges. We feel ashamed, we doubt ourselves, we wonder if we are worthy, if God will even notice us. But the essence of this story is this: God's response does not depend on our worthiness, but on our sincere faith. And this healing was not only physical. The Bible says that Jesus told her, "Go in peace." Just imagine, after 12 years of loneliness and pain, she did not receive only physical healing, but also inner peace, freedom from fear, and a new confidence. This is a deep spiritual lesson for us. God's touch brings completeness into our lives, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. For all of us, the practical reflection is this: when we take faithful action even in the middle of doubt, miracles begin. Miracles do not only mean extraordinary events. Sometimes, a miracle means the healing of a broken relationship, comfort for a lonely heart, or courage for a fearful mind. Just as that woman's bleeding stopped, in the same way our inner wounds can also be healed by God's touch. We only need to take a step in faith. We also learn that our faith does not always remain hidden. The Bible says that Jesus felt that someone touched me, and then he gave public affirmation. This teaches us that God notices sincere faith, and sooner or later its effect becomes visible, for us and for others as well. Our small prayers, small acts, and small sacrifices eventually become blessings for others too. And the most profound truth is this: faith requires both courage and humility. This woman was afraid because of society, her loneliness, and her physical weakness. Yet she still took the step. In our lives too, fear stops us, doubt holds us back, and insecurity paralyzes us. But when we take a step with courage and rely on God with humility, that is when the miracle of faith begins. Think about how this story applies to our daily lives, in our relationships, our struggles, our careers, or personal growth. Sometimes we need to take just one small step. It may be apologizing to someone, helping someone in need, admitting our weakness, or simply offering a silent prayer. This very step can bring a miracle into our lives. And just as that woman's act was private, our acts of faith are often private too, and God notices them. In the end, this story is a continuous reminder for our lives. Faith is not just about thinking, but about action. Courage is not only about taking big steps, but about taking small, faithful steps. And a miracle is not only extraordinary, it begins with every honest and sincere act in our lives. So whenever we face loneliness, pain, and hopelessness in life, we must remember that a faithful act, no matter how small, can transform everything. And just as Jesus noticed that woman's pain and loneliness, in the same way he notices every sincere effort and prayer of ours. Healing, peace, and transformation will come into our lives when we take steps with courage, rely with humility, and act with faith. Imagine looking at this woman's story from another perspective. The 12 years of pain were not only in her body, but also in her heart and mind. Disappointment from every doctor, the burden of every rejection, and isolation from society, all of this had turned into a silent despair within her. Yet even after every rejection, she kept hope alive in her heart. In our lives too, this sometimes happens. We fail from every side, our efforts are ignored, and at times it feels as if even God is not noticing us. But this is exactly the point where everything begins to shift. The act of touching Jesus' garment was not just a physical touch. It was a symbolic step of faith. It shows that when we accept our helplessness and rely on God, that is when the miracle begins. An act of faith is not always dramatic. Sometimes it is subtle. And for us, the most important thing is to act from the heart, no matter what the circumstances are. This woman is our reflection. Despite our doubts, fears, and hesitations, one small step, one small prayer, one sincere attempt can transform our lives. And then when Jesus felt that someone had touched him and personally called her and said, "Daughter, your faith has made you well," it was not just a moment of healing, but a moment of acknowledgement. God notices our secret efforts, and sooner or later he acknowledges them, either publicly or personally, and empowers us. Our small, faithful actions, whether at home, at work, or within our relationships, eventually become blessings for others as well. And from this story, we receive an even deeper lesson. Healing is not only physical. In that woman's healing, peace was included. Jesus said, "Go in peace." Just imagine, 12 years of struggle, and now with just one touch and one personal recognition, a new confidence, a new freedom, and an inner calm entered her life. This teaches us that God's touch can bring healing on every level: physical, emotional, and spiritual. In our lives too, when we take steps with sincere faith, miracles are not always visible. Sometimes they begin as an inner transformation. And the most inspiring truth is that faith requires both courage and humility. This woman was afraid of society's judgment, her own weakness, and rejection. Yet she ignored her fear and took a step with faith. In our lives as well, fear often stops us. We hesitate, we doubt, and we feel insecure. But when we rely on God despite our fear and take a step with courage, that is when our act of faith activates a miracle. There is another important element in this story: patience and persistence. 12 years of pain. This was not a one-day struggle. Remaining consistent with faith and courage is essential. Our prayers, our efforts, and our struggles do not always produce visible results immediately. But God notices them, and the fruit of every sincere effort comes in time. This woman teaches us that consistency and patience are both necessary in faith. And when we apply this story to our daily lives, it inspires us that whether we are struggling with health, relationships, career, or personal growth, we simply need to take a faithful action, no matter how small it may be. That act could be a sincere prayer, an honest conversation, or helping someone in need. And just as that woman's small act brought a miracle into her life, in the same way small acts of faith carry transformative power in our lives. And the deepest lesson of all is this: in God's touch, there is both power and personal presence. He notices our actions, responds to them, and gives us peace and healing. Faith does not only mean believing, it means acting. And acting does not only mean taking a step, it means taking a step with courage, humility, and sincerity. So whenever we face life's challenges, loneliness, pain, fear, failure, rejection, we should remember this woman's story. Our small steps, our small prayers, and our sincere efforts are the bridge through which God can bring miracles and healing into our lives. Our struggles are not just obstacles. They are opportunities to practice faith and experience God's personal touch. And just as that woman's life was completely transformed, our lives too can be transformed through faith, courage, and humble reliance on God. An act of faith does not always produce visible results, but it always plants the seed of transformation. Courage always overcomes fear, and humility always prepares our hearts for God's touch. And miracles, healing, and peace always come through sincere, persistent, and humble faith. This story is a continuous inspiration for our lives. Whether the step of faith is small or big, the effect of the miracle will surely appear in our lives sooner or later. And when we take a small step from the heart, amid our loneliness, despite our struggles, we become ready for God's touch, God's peace, and God's healing. This woman's story shows us that an act of faith, taken with courage, invites miracles and opens the path to inner peace and transformation. When we come to the final moments of this woman's story, the most important thing to understand is that her healing was not just a physical recovery. It was a moment of complete transformation. After 12 years of pain, loneliness, rejection, and hopelessness, she touched Jesus. And through one small act of faith, a new chapter of her life began. In our lives too, miracles sometimes begin through a small step, a sincere prayer, an honest action, or simply a faith-filled decision. And the deepest lesson is this: miracles come through the combination of our effort and our faith. This woman was not just waiting, not just hoping. She took action. In our lives as well, always remember this: to experience God's touch, a step of faith and an act of courage are necessary. Sometimes we think our problems are so big that God will not notice us, but this story shows us that God notices our small and sincere steps, and their impact is powerful. And remember this too: an act of faith also heals our inner state. This woman left her fear and shame behind, and after Jesus' touch, she felt inner peace and confidence. Our struggles, whether emotional, mental, or physical, can be transformed through God's touch. Sometimes we ask only for healing, but God also gives us inner peace, courage, and clarity. And the most inspiring truth is that faith and courage are always personal and humble. Our prayers and actions may not be loud or visible, but God notices them. Just as that woman's small, faith-filled act brought a miracle into her life, in the same way our sincere efforts and humble reliance can bring healing, restoration, and blessings into our lives. In the end, this story gives us a final reminder. The small steps of our faith are what invite miracles into our lives, break our fears, and fill our hearts with peace. If we take steps with courage, rely on God with humility, and continue our prayers and efforts with persistence, then no struggle is impossible for us. Just as that woman acted in faith despite 12 years of pain, we too can take small steps in our lives and be ready for God's touch. This story is a call to action for us. Take one small act of faith every day, hold on to courage in every challenge, and surrender our fears in God's presence. Healing, peace, and transformation come into our lives only through the combination of faith, courage, and humble reliance. And just as Jesus personally noticed that woman's pain and struggles, in the same way He always notices the small and sincere efforts of our lives and turns them into blessings and miracles. In the end, let us stay inspired by this woman's journey and remember this: an act of faith, whether small or big, opens the path to miracles and brings inner peace and true transformation into our lives. And our responsibility is this: to take small steps every day, practice our faith, and keep our hearts open to God's touch.